Hello everyone, Kireth here, and today we're going to talk about improving Gran Turismo 7. There's been a lot of noise recently on the internet about Gran Turismo 7 being a dead game, the developers being selfish, all this kind of stuff. I don't really agree with that kind of screaming and shouting. I just want to think about some constructive criticism of Gran Turismo 7, some things that I think would be relatively low-hanging fruit that would improve the game. And in this community, we can discuss it. Let me know in the comments if there's anything I'm missing here, if there's anything else that you think is much more important. And then we get an idea of where we think the game should go. And we're only about 3 months into Gran Turismo 7, so there's a lot of time for this game to kind of get up to speed. And, you know, GT Sport wasn't great at the beginning either. Now, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. I went out today, I'm wearing an Xbox shirt. This video is not sponsored by Xbox or Sony or Gran Turismo 7. So just... that's just a coincidence, right? The first thing I want to do is, we'll tick them off down the side. I think in the lobby, when you go into the lobby page, these lobbies should be sortable by population. I want to see which are the most populated lobbies so I can jump into really populated races. This is page 1 out of 27. There's 27 pages of lobbies, and every lobby here has one person in it. So that doesn't entice me to join a lobby. If there were lobbies here with 14, 15 people in them, I'd be like, yes, great. If I join this lobby, I'm going to have some fantastic racing off the bat. So I don't know why we can't sort by population. That's something I would add. That's my first point. Now we're going to go into my second one, which is, and this is something that I don't understand why it's missing from Gran Turismo 7, but you cannot save lobby settings. So if I go in and I create a lobby setting, you know, for, let's say we're doing a practice session, and do that, and I go down and I do all of my settings, I can't save it. And in Gran Turismo Sport, I could save the settings and just restart them every time I wanted to do that. So that's not great. I don't know why we can't save settings. If it's a server thing, I don't know, but that would be a great thing to add. Now, when we're going to do lobbies at the beginning here, but actually when you get into the lobbies, there is just so much missing. I cannot change any of the lobby settings. I don't think you can do qualifying at the moment. You just go into practice and race. Reverse grids don't work. When people join, you can't actually start a session while people are still initializing. So there's quite a few things I've just said there, but I think the biggest one for me would be to edit lobby settings whilst you're in the lobby. So we do a race here, and then we go to Monza, and then we go to Catalunya. We can change it. We can't do that at the moment, so that's what I would add. Also, I'd add transferable lobbies, so once I leave the room, the ownership of the lobby will transfer elsewhere. That was in Gran Turismo Sport. For some reason, it's not in Gran Turismo 7. Let's go elsewhere in the game. Let's have a look. So I'm going to explain this one as I'm doing it. And by the way, if you like the way that I'm approaching this, please subscribe to the channel. You guys and girls massively grow the channel. So what I want to do is I want to see if there's any liveries made, recent liveries in our community. Now, I've searched KCR, which is our tag. For some reason, I can't search by most recent, which I want to see. These are not sorted by date. That's something I would add. But the main point is this, is that if I download, this Nissan GTR livery, fantastic livery from Tiago, repost it as well, the steps required for me to apply that livery are just so insane. Now, I'm not sure I have this car, but let's say that we did. I have to go out here, close, takes a while. I've got to go into my garage. I've got to then change the car. I've got to actually get into the car. And like I said, I don't think we actually have the Group 4. But let's say that we did. Come out. I've then got to go to GT Auto. I've got to go to car maintenance. Click in. Oh, sorry, I went to the wrong one. That takes me all the way out. So I've got to go into car customization. And I've got to then load the style, click the style, apply the style, pay for the stuff, and then finally I've done it. So if I want to apply multiple liveries to cars, that just takes way, way, way too long. There should be a one-click apply, in my opinion, if possible. So when you see the livery, if you've got the car, you can apply it. Also, just generally getting to your garage to change cars is way, way, way too complicated. I'm going to show you a little secret here, by the way. But let's say I go in, I want to race, and I want to do Monza. There's no events. I mean, There should be events at Monza, like just create some events, please. But let's say I want to do this race at Deep Forest, and let's say, let's say I want to do a custom race here at Deep Forest. I can't select my car here that I want to do the custom race in. And even if I go in here, I can't change my car to all of the cars I have available. You have to, there's a little shortcut. You have to find some of the settings where you can just change your car to any car you have in your garage, which I can't remember at the moment, but it's basically crazy that you cannot change your car. I would be amazing here if there was a hotkey to go to the top and I can choose any car in my garage. I can't do that. Again, it just kind of adds to the friction. It's not great. Right, so I got one criticism here that I would improve, but one thing I think they actually have improved. So if I do a custom race and I do all my fancy settings, so if we change the weather, so we have it kind of really funky weather, trying to create some interesting things. If we really customize the drivers, have like the fancy F1 race I love doing on this channel, like the fancy kind of Need for Speed, Fast and Furious races, then previously I don't think you could change those settings, but those settings are here now. So I think you can now change these settings on the fly, which is absolutely great. I wish you could save them though, so if you could save them, that would be the icing on the cake for the custom settings. So if I go in and create a really fantastic kind of custom race that's absolutely superb, as soon as I exit out of this, I won't be able to do it again without having to recreate all those settings. What I can now do is, when I'm in this area, I can now tweak it, which is great. The thing that's not great is if I don't have the right tyres on my car, so let's say I don't have sports mediums here and that's the right tyre to use, the process now of me getting sports medium tyres is so painful. So I have to exit this, I lose all of my custom settings because I didn't know I didn't have the correct tyres. I have to go all the way out to the tuning shop. I have to go in, I have to buy the tyres, and I go back into the race. And then there's a weird thing where Gran Turismo 7 will default my tyres to the last ones purchased, and that can lead to some basically glitches where you can be in a sport mode race that's completely dry. It will never rain and it will put you on rain tyres, which isn't great. So that's some stuff I would improve there as well. So we're in sport mode. I have to be honest, sport mode is pretty good for me. Obviously there's the freezes and the black screens, which I've had. There's videos out on my channel. And that's going to really put off the esports people, but I'm not an esports driver. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I play, if I'm lucky, a couple of times a week for a couple of hours, so I'm not hammering it where the black screens are that much of an issue for me. But I've got to be honest, in sport mode, I think they've done a pretty good job. You can now rent cars, which is absolutely fantastic. So I can rent the car, I don't need to buy it. That is absolutely amazing. If you think of something like FIFA has never done this in Ultimate Team. Like, you could never just rent, you know, Ronaldo, original Ronaldo or Maradona, the icons. You always had to essentially earn them through coins or buy them. So Gran Turismo 7 allowing the renting is absolutely fantastic. The differences I make in sport mode, and this is probably a bit contentious, so let me know. I would add a few more daily races. I'd add a daily race D, a daily race E. So I do a daily race E for endurance. Let us do a 1 hour race. Maybe it comes around every 2 hours or something like that. Let us do a daily race where there's no stored quali. You have to do quali just on the warm-up lap, or instead of a warm-up lap, you have a super pole quali, stuff like that. But otherwise, sport mode is pretty good. They've definitely listened. The only other stuff I would say with sport mode is that tuning. I loved the first week at Daytona with tuning. It was absolutely incredible and felt very special. So I think I'm now a tuning advocate. I'd love for tuning to be back in sport mode in some way or another. And by the way, if you're new to the channel wondering who I am, I just do YouTube in my spare time. We're at the moment basically the 17th ranked driver in the UK, which is pretty cool because you've got a lot of esports drivers up here. Key25 is a full-time YouTuber, it's his job. Eerie is a full-time YouTuber, it's his job. There's some very fast esports drivers here as well, and then there's us. So, you know, we kind of punch above our weight. That's my context of how I experience the game. I race in the very high lobbies, but it's not my job. I'm not an esports driver, so it doesn't kind of affect me as much. But I thought it was important to provide that content. Let's go on to a few other bits and bobs. So something I find in the game, and again that might be similar to what you experience because you're probably just someone who plays in your spare time, you're not a professional driver or streamer or whatever. I am nearly always broke in Gran Turismo 7. Like I very rarely have any cash. I'm not very liquid. So I've got 500,000 credits here, and that is only going to buy me the Mustang Boss, which is quite a cool car, but it's not going to buy me any other legendary cars. So I would love for the credit rate to be increased in certain ways, like on sport mode, to be more viable for any credits, custom races as well. I'm never a huge fan of the grind. I personally find the grind a little bit disrespectful to us that don't have a lot of spare time to play the game. Maybe that's why it's there, to kind of gently nudge us towards microtransactions. I don't know. If you've got a lot of time to grind, then that's great. I never really have enough money. I'd appreciate it if there were other ways to earn money, but that's just my personal context. And this is another small point. It might be asking too much, but I would love it if there's a way to test drive the legendary cars without getting too much in the realm of Test Drive Unlimited, one of the greatest racing games ever, in my opinion, or driving games, I should say. It'd be great if we could test drive a legendary car for like a maximum of like 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Wouldn't that be incredible? Let me know in the comments, by the way, if you think that would be a good idea. That would fundamentally, I think, change how I view legendary cars, because at the moment, these are just like so unattainable for me. I kind of just ignore it. I'm not really involved in that part of the game. So on the mission challenges now, they've already added a whole series of missions. As you can see from the gold disco balls here, I haven't done too many missions. That's fine, that's there for me to explore. I would quite like it if they continued to add missions though. It would probably lure me in with some interesting stuff they could do. They could go a little bit crazy with the challenges, and some of the mission kind of formats are really cool. Like the rallies are really cool. So I hope they just add more missions throughout the course of the game, but we're only 3 months in. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. So all my photographers assemble. I'm going to talk about scapes, and my thing with scapes is I think there's a few little bits that could make scapes a lot more usable. So if I set up a really cool shot in scapes with multiple cars, and I'm changing the exposure and I'm masking stuff and stuff like that, and I've got the shot, I would love if I could just save this snapshot in terms of all my settings where the car is, so I can come back to it later and iterate on it. And like, yeah, I can take the picture right now, and that's great. Is it going to be a good picture? It's an alright picture. But as soon as I exit, I'm going to lose that moment in time. So yes, I can favourite the scapes location, but I love if I could just save the actual preset of what I put in there. That would be very powerful, and I can see myself really coming back to scapes to try and hone that shot. So I want to talk about replays now. Replays in Gran Turismo 7 in some ways are improved on Gran Turismo Sport. We don't have the letterboxing now, which is absolutely great. One thing I would love, and I know a lot of broadcasts will be all over this, is an ability to use a USB keyboard to flick between the cars, to turn certain stuff off. When I was broadcasting league racing in Gran Turismo Sport, I used to love kind of just using all the hotkeys in the keyboard to create what was hopefully quite a nice production. You can't do that at the moment in Gran Turismo 7, but hopefully they can add that. So I'm going to talk about the cafe now. Now the cafe was billed as kind of the big single player content in Gran Turismo 7. I think a lot of kind of old school Gran Turismo players are actually a bit disappointed by the cafe. I have a real kind of confusion with the cafe about how it lets you buy cars to completely bypass a lot of the cafe menus. So for example, if I had the cash, I could just go out and buy all of these cars from Mercedes and not have to do the races that are required. I found that quite an interesting decision, but I think in any event, a lot of people are asking for more cafe menus, more interesting stuff to do. So I'm sure Gran Turismo are going to add that, but a lot of people are saying that the cafe menu is a little bit bare bones, and I can feel that. I haven't completed the cafe menu yet already. Part of that is that I don't want to. I kind of don't want to exhaust all that single player content. But if there was more stuff coming on, you know, like a bi-weekly basis, that would be incredible. So hopefully they can add something there. Now heading over to the used car shop, and the big thing for me is still no ability to sell cars. I've mentioned this for, I think, possibly months or years. It would be great if we could sell cars in Gran Turismo 7. I think that would really add to the feeling of collecting cars because they have actual value in the game. Then you can sell them. So let's say I really wanted to buy a new legendary car, I could and ah and say, oh, do I want to sell that car? I like that car, but I really like the legendary car. And that sort of like concept isn't in Gran Turismo 7 at the moment. They said they're going to bring it. I hope they can do it soon. Let's bring selling cars to the used car shop in Gran Turismo 7. So let's look at the world circuits, and this is something that I picked up on very early when I was covering Gran Turismo 7. So this is, I think, more than a year ago possibly, is that we're not really having any new circuits in Gran Turismo 7. Every circuit here was either in Gran Turismo Sport or a previous Gran Turismo game. So Daytona was one of only 3 circuits I think added to Gran Turismo 7, along with Deep Forest, Trial Mountain. I may be missing another one, but they haven't added anything genuinely new. Silverstone, Imola. I'm not talking about Grand Valley Speedway and El Capitan and kind of old school GT tracks. I'm talking about new real world tracks. Montreal, Donington, Okayama, Twin Ring Motegi has been in Gran Turismo before, but you know, a circuit like that would be amazing as well. I really want to see more circuits. Now in Gran Turismo Sport, they added incredible circuits for free, like the Red Bull Ring, like Spa, and they added dynamic weather on top of that, or wet weather on top of it. I'd love to see them do the same thing, add these big flagship circuits and keep adding dynamic weather to existing circuits. Let's get rain at Daytona. Let's get that going. So yeah, I really hope they can add more circuits. They've got this big world map. It'd be absolutely fantastic to populate it. So we're going to talk about tuning here. This is quite a niche point, but you can see that you have a measurement history here. So if you change stuff, you can measure it and then you can flick between the measurement history. It would be absolutely incredible if you could compare your what's in the measurement history between cars. So if you could store the tuning sheet from, you know, let's say the Lancer Group 4, and I could compare it against this WRX Group 4 and see, like, you know, which is rotating better, which is fastest to 100 miles an hour and stuff like that. So I really wish they can do that. That's a very powerful tool, the measurement history. I've really only used it when I've been trying to glitch to Tomahawk to get that credit grind going and sharing the credit grind with people, but I'd love it if it was a little bit more useful between cars. Well, let's talk about Roulette. I never really enjoy Roulette in Gran Turismo 7. It's not a nice part of the game for me that I look forward to. I don't really have any suggestions for Roulette. If you do, let me know in the comments, but yeah, I don't know, Roulette is kind of not a fantastic part of the game for me. So we've gone there around a lot of stuff. I never have a script for my videos, by the way. I just do everything on the fly. But we've covered quite a few bits. Do let me know in the comments if there's anything else that you would like to see added to Gran Turismo 7 that is not incredibly, massively complicated. So sort of the simpler stuff. It'd be great to have this as a resource that we can kind of look to and look back to if they do start adding this kind of stuff. I'm sure the guys at PD do watch this channel. There's been quite a few times where we've really flagged stuff and then things have changed in the next patch note. So maybe coincidence, but I'm pretty sure they do look at this channel. I'm pretty sure they do look at your comments. So make sure to like and subscribe if you want to support this channel. I'm just an ordinary guy playing Gran Turismo 7 in my spare time. I think like a lot of you, so that's my perspective. And you know, I'm really enjoying the game, but there's some bits that definitely could be improved. It's going to take time. It's early doors. I've definitely got my £70 worth out of the game already in terms of just the online experiences that I've had. But this could really be an all-time great game if they can just tweak a few things. Try and keep the multiplayer playbase happy and the single-player playbase happy, because there are definitely 2 different communities there. But I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.